You'll also know it's Wednesday, and therefore former Conservative Government Advisor Claire Pearce joins us in the studio. A very good morning to you.
Good morning.
Where do we start?
It's never ending.
Where do we start? We're going to start with Donald Trump, because that is the big event, and we are going to be seeing footage of him. I think, in about just under 2 hours, Donald Trump is going to be greeted with his wife at Windsor Castle by William and Kate. They're going to join. They're going to meet the King and Queen. Queen unwell for the funeral yesterday, but we understand about again. And then about 50 minutes later, they're going to take part in a carriage procession through the estate to the castle, ceremonial welcome, a guard of honour. I mean, all this is all the stuff that Donald Trump desperately wants. And it's one of the things that we can do with our soft power, because we've got the royal family. That's the point of having a royal family, to do this stuff. Do you think that we should be rolling out the red carpet? Do you think that people like Sadiq Khan and others who criticise, saying we shouldn't be rolling out the red carpet, and talk about Donald Trump being a divisive figure who, is an autocrat and stirring up far-right politics?
Well, of course we should be rolling out the red carpet. He is the leader of the free world. You have to do these things. You have to be able to work with your allies. You have to look at what this is going to do for the United Kingdom. You need to have that relationship with people that you may not get on with, but tough luck, suck it up, get on with it. And Sadiq Khan, I mean, does anybody really pay any attention to the words he's saying?
I'm not sure even Mrs. Khan does, to be honest with you.
Do you think she just sort of shuts him in the spare room and sort of says,
I've got to be honest, I bet it's, Sadiq, mate, give it a rest. Give it a rest. What do you want for dinner? I mean,
this is the man who divides more of London than Donald Trump divides the rest of the world.
Yeah, this is a man who can't even do New Year's Eve fireworks without putting politics into it.
Exactly.
And divisive politics as well. I mean, genuinely, it's an absolute joke. He really is. And again, constantly stirring up division between... I mean, again, anyone who's obsessed with race and religion and all of that, of course he divides people. It's absurd. We should be rolling out the red carpet. What do you make of things like 4 people have been arrested over images of well-known newspaper images of Donald Trump with Jeffrey Epstein, Prince Andrew with Jeffrey Epstein, and other figures being projected onto Windsor Castle? I mean, we're having a little bit of a smile there, because this is a bizarre thing. In the week that Jeffrey Epstein is a huge topic of conversation because of Peter Mandelson, you're going to have 3 men in the news this week in England, in Britain. You've got Donald Trump, who was a good friend with Jeffrey Epstein, although, to be fair, I mean, I think it's quite clear he really did. Yeah. I think they've not been friends for a long time since he was... I think he hasn't stayed friends with him since he was actually arrested on those child prostitution trafficking charges. So he's probably the cleanest on this one, weirdly. You've got Keir Starmer, who thought it was completely appropriate to appoint Peter Mandelson, who's best buddies with Jeffrey Epstein long after he was convicted in 2009 and pleaded guilty. Remember, he pleaded guilty to these child prostitution charges. I mean, apparently he doesn't seem to think it's an issue. I mean, I think the rest of us do. But Keir Starmer's judgment massively called into question in that 3-hour Commons debate yesterday. David Davis, absolutely brilliant. And I thought actually Stephen Flynn, absolutely brilliant, the SNP leader in Westminster, talking about, you're talking about a man who it's known in the court documents, got a 14-year-old to masturbate him. I mean, but he thought it was absolutely fine to put someone who thought he was his big mate and had no issue with that. I mean, that's the reality. And then you've got the king, who, his younger brother, Prince Andrew, paid 12 million quid to one of the alleged victims of Jeffrey Epstein, but apparently never met her. But was definitely big mates and stayed at his house and again saw him, stayed at his house for 4 days after the conviction. 3 very powerful, very well-known men who've all got links to a dead paedophile billionaire.
I think it was inevitable that you were going to have some kind of message sent across. You only have to look whenever there's something going on in Westminster and you get images projected onto the side of Big Ben. You're always going to have that at Windsor. It does bring in the question as to how good the security is.
Every time.
Because they would have to be relatively close to set that up in order for that image to be projected.
I'm wondering what they were arrested for, actually.
It's a little bit vague as to what they've been arrested for. I think the police are sort of saying, yes, no, we've dealt with them and everything is fine. Just shows the shambles around Windsor at the moment for the policing aspect.
Yeah. I mean, if someone's able to get close enough to do that. But I suppose out the outside is a public street. I mean, got footage right now of a load of people. You know, there's royal reporters who stand around thinking they're in the royal family. Oh, yes. Oh, you know, my mate Kate. Yeah, mate, you've never even met her. Let's all stop that nonsense. No. But I mean, you know, it's going to be difficult. And in terms of issues that Keir Starmer is being asked to raise, you know, we've got you know, Gaza and Israel, and there's a lot of political pressure on Keir Starmer because from the left, and he's under a lot of pressure right now from Manderson over his judgment on many things. We've got the budget coming up. Report today from the Office of Budget Responsibility saying, you know, latest figures are terrible. We've got 3.8% inflation. Our Prime Minister is in a very, very, very tricky position right now. And we're told that Donald Trump's going to go easy on him because apparently he likes him.
I mean, I don't believe that to be true for a second.
He knows how to do that.
No, I don't think he does. But I think Keir Starmer needs to appease his own backbenchers, so he's going to have to bring up Israel and Gaza. But also for the good of the nation, he needs to look at the steel tariffs. He needs to look at what he's given away in order to get the tech deals through.
Well, there's this £30 billion tech deal. Now, here's the thing, it involves AI and goodness knows what else. But we've got a load of other businesses leading. We have some, AI involves huge amounts of electricity. I mean, just huge amounts of energy, which is very, very expensive in this country. And for business, it's 4 times more expensive here than it is in the US. Why are they, with all due respect, why are they setting up here? We've got some brilliant, you know, scientists and tech people, I get that. But at the end of the day, you're looking at the bottom line, right? Why would you do it here rather than even in France? You know, down, you know, what's going on there when other companies are saying we're leaving Britain because it's too expensive to manufacture anything and for energy, and the regulatory, you know, and the tax is too high.
It is. I mean, you've got the digital services tax, which is what the industry is looking at to say, please, can you not levy that upon us? And
it's been denied this morning, but that was.
And these things are always denied, aren't they? Until we can never take it off the table until we see the budget.
Yeah, we weren't paying Mauritius for the Chagos Islands, so
of course
that's
not.
all denied,
and no, that's all above board and fine, isn't it? But you do wonder what's being offered in return, and I think there's a lot of artists and publishers who are particularly concerned that their works are going to be essentially given for free in order for AI to start learning and recreating.
Whereas if we use an image on here, we have to pay for it.
Absolutely,
that's how people make money.
So.
Yeah.
And rightly so. And there's a lot of authors who are particularly worried that their words are just going to go out there with absolutely no recognition, no payment. Nothing.
And again, that's how they earn a living. It really it is extraordinary, isn't it? Let's also talk about the small matter of like Donald Trump finding it remarkably easy to remove people from illegal migrants from America and closing the border. Really, really simple. It's a land border. It's an epically long land border, not a sea border, but he's been able to close it. He's also been able to deport, I mean, you know, tens of thousands of people. We, with a one-in, one-out deal with France, can't even get one out, but apparently on Saturday we are going to have one in, someone who's been chosen by France to come here, apparently, you know, someone who's legitimate who can then bring all of their entire extended family. But this is the most extraordinary story. As I tweeted last night, I think they're just taking, I couldn't use the word on air, let's go with taking the mickey, shall we? But you all know they're extracting the urine from us at this point, let's be honest. But we've got this Eritrean man, he's 25 years old, not allowed to know his name. No, of course we're not, just paying for him. He arrived here early last month. He claimed that he and his mother had travelled to Ethiopia from Eritrea when he was a young child. He was then trafficked, he says, from there to Libya in 2023. And his barrister, who used to be the chair of the human rights group Liberty, there you go, that's all you need to know, says that basically he then made his way via Italy to France, and he arrived in Britain after his mum had paid £1,000 to people smugglers for his trip on August the 12th. The next day, he had an asylum screening interview with the Home Office. He was asked if he'd been exploited, and he replied no. I mean, bear in mind, there would be translators. We know that because we get the bill as taxpayers. A few days later, after obviously getting legal advice from one of these many charities who think it's their job to keep as many random young men from other countries in our country who have arrived here illegally, he then lodged a claim under British modern slavery laws, alleging he'd been exploited in Libya. So it wasn't just the fact that he said that his lawyer said, if he was sent to France, that he would be subject to, quote, inhuman and degrading conditions in breach of Article 3 of the European Convention on Human Rights, because he would face destitution because the French government isn't going to give them a 4-star hotel or a flat and give them money to live on. But basically, there's a Strasbourg case from 2020 which ordered the French government to pay compensation to 5 asylum seekers after they were denied support and forced to sleep rough. So that's going to be the latest thing that's going to be used by basically, unless you're going to get the 4-star treatment in France, you get to stay here because you'd be destitute in France. Yeah, I mean, I can't even. There aren't words to describe how mad this is.
And especially when you look further into this story and you see that there were at least 2 different charities in France who had offered accommodation and assistance. So he would have been living just outside the centre of Paris in accommodation. He would have had people around to offer food and clothing and things like that. So he wouldn't have been destitute.
Yeah.
I think that,
and even if he was, it's not my problem.
Well, and I think this is what people are going to look at. I mean, you'll do a piece, I'm sure, about the economy at some point, because that is really tanking in the United Kingdom. So people are going to say, well, hang on a minute, we're pretty much destitute, so why are we worried about this chap?
Yeah.
But I think it's just always destined to fail when the government say we're going to deport people, we're going to do it on these days, every single day they're going to send somebody. It's never going to happen.
And they were crazy to announce it in advance of saying these flights. And again, we had all these journalists, and well, good luck with that. And the journalists were there, and then they've left. I mean, that sounds, we only got 6 journalists to France and no migrants. The reality is, it's much harder than the Labour Party claimed. They thought they were going to come in, and we've seen this in every area of government. We're just going to, if we're in charge, the civil servants will be on our side. The Tories are incompetent. No, you can't get anything done in this country anymore because of European Convention of Human Rights, the lawyers, the legal system, the regulatory system. You can't get anything. You can't build anything. No. You can't report anybody. You can't stop anyone coming in. You can't do any. You can't change anything in any of the public sector. Failing organisations because of the unions. You can't do anything. They're learning to their cost. Governing is a little bit harder than they thought. Yeah. And you just be nicey and being the good people doesn't actually make any difference. I mean, you're going to have to leave the European Convention on Human Rights. You're going to have to leave the Refugee Convention, and you're going to have to basically have a massive sift out of a huge number of lefty lawyers and judges. And these people are not representing our country.
They're not, and these are the lefty lawyers that Sir Keir Starmer is part of. He is part of that problem. So what's he going to do about it? He's going to sort of stand there and say, oh, no, it's all fine, don't worry about it. When it was Tony Blair that set up with the Human Rights Act, which enshrined everything into British law. This is why we're in this problem now. Yeah. So it goes back all that time, and no one's looking at how you can unpick it.
Exactly. There were loads of things we couldn't do because we were still in the EU, right? So we left the EU. I mean, let's have a referendum on this one, or should we not even bother? Because it would be like,
pay no attention.
70-80% in favour of leaving. And I do not understand why these other countries like Germany are able to deport people, but we're not.
And
I just find it absolutely. But it's the fact that the French, under this deal, oh my God, this government is so incompetent. Even if we can't deport someone, the French still get to send someone over.
I think that we should turn that round and send it straight back. Why should we? Why should we? This is part of the deal. So who wrote the deal up in the first place? Because I can see that France are going to send way more people in our direction than we do in theirs.
Do you think?
Should we have a little bet on that one?
I mean, genuinely, I can't even... Every morning I wake up to these stories and I'm just... But this is a joke now. It's a joke. It's an absolute joke. I'm really hoping, Starmer's going to be giving it the big I am on Mr. Moral on Israel and Gaza, and recognising a Palestinian state which under no basis can be recognised in any meaningful way. Stupid claims, nonsense claims about genocide in Gaza and the like. And he's going to be trying to lecture in his lawyery way Donald Trump. Donald Trump should just turn around and say, you can't even control your own borders. Zip it, mate.